based on the fact that there's a lot of new users and a lot of people need refreshers, right? So we're gonna get started. We're just gonna wait a couple more minutes. I see that there's 17 people on the call, which is great. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to utilize the chat. I got my co-host Julian, who is on the call as well. We're going to be co-hosting this webinar today. One of us will be monitoring the chat. If you have something that needs to be answered, go ahead and use the Zoom functions as far as so you don't talk over one another. Just use the raise your hand feature, and we'll just ask away. We'll have enough time to discuss and to be able to provide some insight on recommended settings, what you're using it for, because Touchpix is it's basically an all-in-one app. You can use it for 360 use, you can use it for photo booth, you can use it for roaming. And if you're not familiar with what roaming is, we can touch on that a little bit later, but it's jam-packed. So if you're already a Touchpix customer and you're paying a subscription, we want you to utilize it to its maximum capacity or capabilities. And you should be using it for photo booth. You should be using it for 360. And of course, roaming is a good way to make extra money to enhance some of your packages. So definitely. So I see you're about 20 in. Julian, I don't know if you did your introduction. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, go ahead and do so.
Hello, everyone. My name is Julian. I'm from Mexico. I'm a photo booter and also part of the Touchpix support team. I've been with Touchpix for almost a year and a half. So I'm very glad to help you most of the time in the group, in the Facebook group, also in the chat when we were taking calls in the line. So I've been in touch with some of you, maybe in some way or another, and happy to see you here and help you with this webinar that we are having.
That's awesome. Thank you, Julian. And again, I'm DJ. I'm based out of California. I've been with the team since Touchpix began, a little bit over 3 years. So definitely, we're here to help you guys learn. We're here to help you guys just kind of achieve your photo booth or business goals as photo booth professionals. We take pride in working the support lines and trying to help you guys out. And this is why we have free trainings. That way you guys can come and get some free refreshers. So definitely welcome everybody. So let's get started. So just kind of want to take a quick poll because I don't know how many of you are new. I don't know how many of you have been using Touchpix in the past already. So there's 2 ways I can do this. We can get started with like a complete event setup for 360 from the very beginning, or we can just dive into iPhone recommended settings. So how many of you are brand new to Touchpix and are wanting to learn a little bit more about some of the features and wanting to know how to set things up efficiently without hopefully panicking and not understanding what some of the settings do? So let's see, if you guys can use the chat, that'll help me out in kind of guiding where this webinar is going to go. So if you're new, type in number 1. If you're a moderate to intermediate level user, type in number 2, and with the same numerical values. 1 if you want me to go from the beginning, or 2 if you want me to just specify starting from the iPhone going forward, or do you guys want to see a complete setup? So let me know. Feel free to unmute yourself if you have a preference, and I'm going to be looking at the chat. We're going to go from there.
Go ahead, guys. I see some people missing to vote. I only can see 3 number 1s, DJ.
Okay.
And the rest, 2, 4, 6, 7, like 11 or 12, number 2. So
All right. So
seems
let's
that
just-
number 2 option is the chosen one.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do, just to hopefully appease everybody, I'm just gonna run through a quick setup, right? I'm not gonna go into a full setup, but I'm gonna do a quick setup. That way, everybody is kind of on the same page and understands how it works. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Give me 1 minute here. Let me open up the right web browser. We'll go from there. I'll explain what some of the settings are, then we'll be open for questions in the event that you need a little bit more info on that. So let me go over here. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
we can.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, so let's start with I'm gonna
Yes.
go through a quick setup and let's start with that. So what I'm gonna have you guys do is go into touchpix.com, and I need you guys to understand that there's a lot of ways where you can actually get a subscription. You can buy a subscription from the Apple App Store, which is probably one of the first and easiest ways to buy a subscription. So the limitations behind that, if you're buying it from the Apple App Store, is that you're basically tying it to your Apple ID belonging to that specific iPhone, right? If you're new to the business, a lot of people make a mistake and use their personal phones and their personal iCloud accounts to buy their subscription. I would encourage everybody who's new to the business or they haven't done it already, just create a separate iCloud account for business only. That way you're not having to share your personal information in the event that you grow your business and now you have attendants going out to do events for you. You're not activating some personal information based on your iCloud on another device. So you can do it that way, right? And know that if you do create a separate iCloud account, make sure that you register touchpix.com up here where it says register with that iCloud for that business account. The second way is to get a subscription is if you go to our shop menu here. If you go to our shop menu, you're going to be seeing options regarding what a dual pass subscription is. So we offer 2 subscriptions. We offer a Apple from the App Store subscription, which means it's tied to that specific iCloud, right? Meaning that you can activate numerous different, if you have an iPad, if you have multiple iPhones, or you have multiple iPads, you can activate a subscription on that specific device, as long as they have the same Apple ID that's, that was the Apple ID where you made the purchase from, right? So a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people love that. It really depends on how you have that set up. That's why I recommend that you open up a business iCloud. That way, if your business expands, you're not sharing your personal information. You're just basically creating a business iCloud account to use Touchpix, and you're ready to expand if you need, right? The dual subscription here is very similar. You purchase this from the website only, and this dual subscription is compatible with both iPhones and Android devices, right? So we are compatible with Android. I will throw a disclaimer, right? Because a lot of people sometimes, we get a lot of calls on the support side. A lot of people sometimes tend to get the most inexpensive Android. So just like your Apple iPhone, we recommend that you get a pretty decent Android if you're going to run Touchpix, right? What do I mean by decent? I don't mean the latest and greatest, although if you have the means, by all means, go ahead and do that. But we recommend the Samsung line. We recommend the S21, the S22, the S23. Some of those phones work phenomenal with Touchpix, but you do need somewhat of a decent phone. Any of the entry-level Androids I would stay away from, because you may experience some issues But it's not a limitation on Touchpix. It's just more of a limitation on the hardware side of that phone. So if you buy a subscription that's called Dual, you can use it. You can use the same subscription on Android or iPhone. The difference between the subscription, aside from being multi-platform, is that you don't have to have the same Apple ID on every device like you do from the Apple App Store. This subscription will allow you to use 4 devices simultaneously, meaning that you can run up to 4 different events at the same time, right? However, people that are going to do this, I recommend that when you activate your 4th device, make sure that you close your event when you're done, because if you do not close your event and you try to do a delete reinstall of the app, you're going to have to call support so we can clear your queue. We can clear that device and ensure that you're able to activate a different device. So please just be mindful of that. It will only let you do 4 at once, but make sure you close your events properly. That way you can move on to your next event. Another thing I want to clarify, if you're doing a 360 event and you have a second device running a sharing station, that's still one device. It doesn't count as multiple devices, because the QR code for the sharing station is not like you're creating a new event. It's just a link for your original event, and that's how you're going to share. So you're able to run 4 different devices for 4 different events simultaneously. Now, the Apple app will let you run more than that, but the downside to that is that all your devices need to be on the same Apple ID. Do any of you have any questions on what I explained? I just don't want to confuse people. I want to make sure that I explain everything as accurately as possible.
Yes, I have a question. So are you saying that the sharing station, no matter if it's under a different Apple ID or not, as long as it's activated as a sharing station, that does not count as one of your 4 devices?
That is exactly what I'm saying. You are 100% correct.
Okay, and then my secondary question, you mentioned that if you are running an Apple device, you can run multiple devices. So in the perfect world, right, I like to do a bundle package where I have the 360 going, I would have a photo booth going and a overhead going. Now I do easy connects sometimes for sharing station, but sometimes that's not always the best way. So then I have to scan and activate. I found that in the last time where I did that, when I tried to activate the last one, it said that I have 4 devices. So I'm just trying to discover where I went wrong.
So let's back up, because I do want to explain, one by one. So yes, you're able to use 4. So maybe where the most common error happens is if you're activating, say you have one event, right? And let's just say it's a photo booth event, and you scan one device, and that device is going to be your capture device. Where I see a lot of
Yes.
people make this mistake is something that we used to do when Touchpix was released. Sometimes what people do is they would scan that same QR code with the second device and activate it as an active event, right? So if you do that, it's going to count as 2 devices. The way it's only going to count as 1 is if you activate your capture device, your recording device as an event. Your secondary device needs to be activated as a sharing station. That way it doesn't count against your 4. Because if you were to activate a separate QR code like a normal event and use it as a sharing station, because you can do that, it would count as a second device. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you. You clarified
Okay.
that exact issue for me.
So, and then the other thing, the secondary part to that question that I wanted to answer and just be clear is, once you're done with that event, I would close that event out as soon as possible. That way, that device comes out of your queue and you're free to use another device if you need to, right? So close it out appropriately by, hopefully you're in an area where you have decent internet and you're able to close out the event. If you do a hard reset and delete the app and reinstall, you're going to run into issues, because on our system, it's going to show that that event was not closed properly, and we're going to have to manually delete that device from our queue. we're able to do that, but just know that on weekends when you have events, we get a high volume of support calls coming in or support chats coming in, and there may be some delay in that. So please, another tip that I wanted to provide is if you have an event on Friday or Saturday, there is absolutely no reason why you shouldn't have that event activated on your phone, testing some stuff out on Thursday. Do yourselves a favor and just prepare for that. We still get tons of chats coming in from people arriving at their event and actually working on their overlay, working on activating the event at the event. And that creates an enormous amount of stress, not only on you, the end user. If you miss something or you skip a step, then you're calling or you're having to resort to the chat forum for help, and that creates a lot of stress there because we know that you're in an event and you want it remedied immediately. So we're able to remedy stuff as quickly as possible, but just we always want to promote, be prepared. You know, this is a business. You're a professional. Let's get the practicing. That way, you know, everything works great. We'll be there for you despite anything on the weekend, but just know that on the weekends it's high volume and there may be some delays, but we usually get through all of our support chats without any issue. Any other questions regarding the subscription prices, right? They're basically the same price, $49.99 for the dual, same thing in the app, same price for the monthly, and same price for the we're now offering half years here and yearly, which is awesome. So you know, we will be running some promotions. We do have an exhibit coming up in September in London, but while that exhibit is happening in London, we're probably going to have some discounts for subscriptions. If you want to wait and get a better discount, you might want to wait till November or next February. February is probably the one time every year that we probably drop the prices at the very lowest based on the expo we have in Las Vegas. So, but we will be having sales coming up in September. So I wanted you guys to be familiar with the shop page, because if you buy it from here, you check out from here, right? And if you buy it from here, the other thing that you will notice once you purchase it from here, I'm just going to log in, right? I'm going to log in. Once you purchase it from online, it's unlike the Apple one. The Apple one, you won't see your subscription where it says subscriptions, right? The Apple one, it'll be blank, right? But in this case, you will see your subscription here, right? So it'll say you have an active subscription. You can see when it expires if you hit view, right? If you hit view, it says that it already expired. My end date for this subscription is December of 2023. So you can see whether you have an active subscription or not. From the iPhone, it's done a little different. You have to look at your subscriptions tab, and we'll cover that. So I just wanted to explain that. So I'm going to go through a brief setup. This is going to be a 360 setup. And if you guys have any questions, just let me know. So I'm going to go ahead and create an event, because I always like to create my events from scratch, right? So I'm going to go create an event. I'm going to name this webinar, and I'm going to give it today's date. So today is the 9th, I believe, 23. English, country of origin, always get the country of origin of where you're from. That way there's no confusion with SMS text messaging. Countdown just means that you'll have a countdown before it actually starts recording. For 360, I usually use a countdown of 2. I do enable beep sounds. Beep sounds just makes a noise after every countdown second. I disable the mirror overlay preview, because if you leave this on and you design an overlay, during the live view, you will see that this overlay will look like it's backwards. It's not going to come out backwards as the end result, but it will just look like it's backwards. And for this webinar, we're going to be concentrating on the rear camera. So the recommended devices, they continue to be iPhone 11, iPhone 12, iPhone 13, iPhone 14. We start with 11 because that's the year that introduced the ultra wide rear camera. The rear camera is the best camera to use. It's a high quality camera, and that's kind of where we're at with that. If you're using an Android, we recommend, like I said, the Samsung line, S21, S22, S23. There's some good LG phones out there, but please, if your phone is like $100 dollar phone, it might not meet the criteria. You typically use this somewhere between moderate to more higher end Android devices for optimal settings. And make sure that your Android can go up to Android version 13. It's the operating system. With iOS, we recommend anything will run Touchpix that is capable of loading iOS 16, right? If you have an older iPad and it doesn't upgrade to iOS 16, that means you cannot use Touchpix. You can't use it in a way where it's going to be stable for you. You know, and you may be getting away with some features, but you're going to run into some issues. So we recommend anything 16 and or above. We're not printing here, so I'm not going to worry about printing. Let's focus on photos, and let's focus on just slow-mo, because you could actually run 2 experiences on your 360. Now with our background removal, I think this is more of an attracting feature. So you can in fact do an event running 360 slow motion, but also with pictures, right? You can do it that way. And we're going to go ahead and do just photos, slow-mo. I'm going to leave it at 4.5. I'm going to leave the slow-mo boomerang, and I'm not going to get a music file, but if you have an MP3 file on your computer, it needs to be MP3. You can load it here. I'm just going to get a standard one from the Touchpix app because they're free. I'm not going to do a screen flash. I'm going to leave that disabled. All of these numbers for editing, I'm not interested. I'm just going to leave sharing at 12. You can leave it at 8 if you want, but this just means it'll give you up to 8 seconds for the guest to input their number. And I do see a hand raised. Vinique, go ahead if you have a question.
What is screen flash?
Screen flash. So originally when Touchpix came out, we were also a photo booth app, right? And back then there wasn't the options to run like a photography flash from like a DSLR camera. There was, but there wasn't any way that was easy to manipulate that flash. Screen flash is if you're using an iPad booth and you're in a venue that's pretty dark, this right when it takes the picture, the screen will flash white, mimicking a flash. It helps in dark situations, but it's just more of it's supposed to give you a subtle flash feel for your photo booth side.
Thank you.
So I leave sharing at 8. I'm not interested in anything else because I want to process as quickly as possible. Sharing portions, I always leave email off. Facebook, SMS is text messaging, so I leave that on. Twitter, I take off copy, and I'm not going to use WhatsApp or general. These are generally what I use in my events. I'm going to explain why it's important to always check on download. The reason it's important to check on download, this is mainly for Apple iPhone users, right? Because Apple makes things a little difficult sometimes. So say you're sharing the video via text message and the customer receives it via text. They're not getting the actual picture or the video via text. What they're getting is a link on where to download the video, right? If you don't enable this, when you open up that link, your iPhone typically uses the web browser called Safari. Safari will open the link, but if you have this disabled, Safari will not give you a download button. If this is enabled, you will see a download button on the Safari link that you open, and you're able to download. So sometimes we get support chat saying, hey, my guests are not able to download, and it's 99% of the time it's because this was not checked off. So all you have to do is make sure that this is enabled, okay? For Android users, it's really easy to download. This doesn't need to be enabled, but just common practice moving forward, go ahead and enable it because it gives you more use than not. Aside from this, what you want to concentrate on is your text messages here. You can customize it to reflect your business, right? In this case, Touchpix is in parentheses, but if your your business is called Red Bow Photo Booth or Red Tie Photo Booths, you can input whatever your business is called. In some cases, I leave out special characters. Sometimes I'll put my phone number, but the way I will put my phone number is in the following format. a lot of these text messages sometimes get, or they used to get triggered for spam. So that's why we tell people don't use special characters. That way you could avoid a trigger for spam and it will be undeliverable. Special characters are like the dashes, special characters are like exclamation marks. So if I were to include my number, I would say my area code is 555 space 555 5555, right? Do it in this format and you're going to be good to go. The minute you introduce special characters, it can cause issues. It hasn't in a while, but I just always go with the flow that's worked best for me. So I would include it that way, right? So hopefully that makes sense. You can customize this. Face props. So Touchpix does have props, but unfortunately, they're great to use. And I think we're going to be releasing more on props in the near future. The reason why I don't use props specifically is because usually if you enable the props, these are props that you add to your pictures after it's processed a picture. So you literally have to go in there, pick a prop, resize it with your finger and drop it on their eyes or head or nose, wherever you want to drop that prop. And for me, that takes a lot of time, especially when you're in a paid event and you just want to be able to do as many sessions as possible. But if you're in an intimate setting and you have the time, maybe you're not doing like 100 or 200 people event, maybe you're doing something more in the lines of 20 to 30 people, then by all means pick whatever theme props you have and these will be available for you to edit afterwards, okay? But if you want to edit props, just know that this feature up here where editing comes into play, you need to at least put a number to it, whether it be 9 or 10. It'll just allow you some time to be able to edit. So in this case, I'm not using props, but I'll do it like this. But next, I see you have your hand up again.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
With the music, I was reading somewhere on Facebook where you can add 2 songs now. Is that where you download the song, the second song there too, or is
No,
that
so
some?
if you want to download 2 songs, you can actually do 3, and I'll show you what that feature is as we go on into this video. But it's called the audio jukebox effect. And what we recommend that if you're going to use 3 or 2 songs, you actually have those songs downloaded onto your phone, right? Save them onto your phone because that's where they need to be for you to point them on to using the app. And I'll show you how to load that once we get there. And I'll
Okay,
make a
thank
note. I'll make a note of that. So down here is your branding section, right? This will be your branding section. You call, if you're doing a corporate event, maybe it's like Coca-Cola event, just for you to know. These app logos here, they have a specific place where they go. The app background is typically a place on your iPhone screen. That's like your home screen when you're running Touchpix, right? And this is the logo that goes in back of your iPad. So you can design it in different ways. The app logos goes into, if I'm not mistaken, the app logo goes in. It's not the web gallery background, but it's in the web gallery. It's a little thumbnail that's in your
Instead of
web
the
gallery.
Touchpix, it shows like yours.
Yeah,
So
it'll show
like
you. It'll show your logo. Make sure it's a PNG transparent file. I know it says it accepts like JPEGs, but for people that are in the photo booth business, I always want them to use PNG files because you're going to be working with those transparent files a lot, even with your overlays. So just get in the habit of saving PNG files because if you're working on the overlays and over here is asking you for a JPEG, at point you're gonna mix them up, right? So by staying with like PNG, you will always have the right file enabled. So this is you'll have your logo. It's a thumbnail that's also placed in the gallery. You'll see a little thumbnail on the top. If you're using a Apple TV as well, it'll place your logo on the Apple TV, right? On the top, it's a little thumbnail, so you can place it that way. The web gallery background file is when you deliver your web gallery to your client. It can be a picture of your logo or it can be a picture of the theme of their event. Once you provide that link to that specific client, they open the link, they're going to see that logo in the background of all your pictures, right? And I'll show you an example of how that looks in a bit, but it gives them a more professional touch. Julian, let me know if I'm forgetting something or if you want to add something. Definitely want to include you in this. But let me know.
The only I just received a chat this today in my shift, and people were asking about the dimensions. Okay, I'm gonna give a trick that you already give me is the background dimensions. You can take a screenshot of your device because every device has different dimensions, you know, in the screen. So if you want to make it like, you know, really exactly for that device, and you don't want any distortion, you know, like it's stretching or squeezing, you can work with those dimensions in order to have a better app background. This works much better when you are doing photo booths. So if you're using an iPad, you can have your screen showing the art perfectly. Okay, this is for the app background.
Yeah, that's correct. And that's a good catch for Julian. So for people that, I don't know if people fully understand what he meant, is that there's so many devices out there, right? Typically for the iPhone, dimensions are going to be very similar. So if you're going to design a graphic to fit your iPhone, more than likely all the iPhones will be are going to be the same. So the easiest way to find like an iPhone background is to just take a screenshot of that home screen, design something with the same dimensions. But what about if you're using an iPad photo booth, right? All of a sudden that design for your iPhone, it's not going to be, there's bigger real estate on that screen. So what are you going to do? Touchpix can't provide every single size for every single iPad because there's so many out there. There's, you know, there's the mini iPad minis, there's the iPad 9.7s, the 10.5s, the 11s, the 12.9. So there's so many iPads coming out. So the cheat code around that is just take a screenshot of the actual screen that you're working with and use a screenshot as your design template. Now, if you want to use that on Canva, Photoshop to design a nice start screen, you can do that. So it makes it a lot easier. So hopefully that made some sense there. And this is what will be applied here in the app background. Okay.
That makes perfect sense. I have a question for you. So the app background, I know that shows like on the standstill of the iPad, but when we're using the TV for like sharing stations, so we set it up to do like live carousel view. I've noticed that the app background does not filter over there, so it gets kind of this monotone, like an orange of the Touchpic orange for the background. That customized background does not show up. Is there a way to make that happen?
Got it. You can actually do it in different screens. You could use a custom, where is the custom? See, there's so many different ways you can use
You
that.
would have to enable below, like you would have to enable
You
below the
you can use like the motion trigger will allow you to do something very similar. You can try to use an attract screen. It's been a little while since I've used that feature for that purpose. I need to revamp my Apple TV usage. But I believe the attract screen, Julian, well, I know you probably use it a lot more than me.
Yeah, but the app background actually shows in the TV, because that is the file that I get when I'm doing TV sessions.
Does it show in full size though? I think think there's
it's full size because
okay.
I use it in vertical. So, you know, in portrait, sorry. So the TV shows the same art.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got
it doesn't never show for mine.
Yeah,
And I do upload a track screen as well as the app background with the landing screen.
So in your case, why don't we do this? Let's put a link for him, Julian. That way we can do a one-on-one. We can really dive into like the issue that he's having. So we're gonna put a link and we can schedule a one-on-one during the week, man, and we can get to the bottom of what you're experiencing. But there is a way to get that logo to appear on your TV full screen, because we've done it on the Expos. It's just right off the top of my head. I haven't done it in a while, and Julian would be the guy that's done it more than me on that end.
Yeah, I
And
already posted the link to, you can try to schedule a meet for tomorrow, and I can take it and I can show you.
yeah, there we go. So that's kind of what it is. Let me explain what the attract screen is as well. The attract screen, I know a lot of people don't use it, but I think it's a great tool to have. I'll be looking for a folder. I may give you some attract screen files that I have. So attract screen, the way I use it, attract screen is like you're setting up a photo booth on an iPad and your iPad's on idle. Maybe you're at a wedding and it's time for the toast, or it's time where there's a pause in between, right? So I have a track screens that I can make that are MP4 files that play in the loop. So when the iPad's not being used, maybe you can have a custom animation of the bride and groom, the picture of the bride and groom saying, thank you for being a guest at our wedding, or something like that, right? And that file will have a more personalized look, and it's only coming up because the iPad's not being used. As soon as a guest walks up to the iPad and they tap the screen, then Touchpix works just as normal. So the attract screen is just that. It's just meant to attract people over because it creates a more personalized feeling. Depending on how you design it or what you have for an attract screen, you can definitely get creative, but it's meant to attract people to say, oh, wow, look at, they personalized that picture for the couple. That looks pretty cool. And it's just a video loop that plays over and over like a screensaver. As soon as you tap the screen, then obviously you see the Touchpix controls. So hopefully that made some sense for you guys. And we're coming down here to where it says motion trigger. Motion trigger, I have not used in a long time. Motion trigger came out in the sense where the manual spinners came out, right? Because they didn't have a start or stop button on the automatic spinners. So if you enabled motion trigger, as soon as you through the 360 arm, right? The iPhone has a built-in compass GPS. As soon as it triggers movement, it would start the countdown process. So it would trigger it on motion, exactly what it says, motion trigger. You know, a lot of people still like using it with automatic spinners because all they have to do is hit the start button, and once it starts spinning, it'll trigger the iPhone to start recording, or Touchpix to start recording. So you can get really creative with this. You don't have to use it, but it's there in the event that you want to use an automatic record segment, right? And let's go down to external screen. So you have two sessions. A lot of people, I think there's probably a 50-50 split on the way they like to use this. So when people use the Apple TV, when I mean Apple TV, I don't mean that Apple designed the TV. I mean that Apple TV sells a little box, just like the Roku, just like the Chromecast little box, right? That you plug into any TV via HDMI cable. And the benefits with the Apple TV when you have one is that you're able to mirror either the live view recording if using an iPhone to that TV live, or you can do a slideshow, right? And in this session, when you hit enabled, you're using an Apple TV. If you leave it on external session and you're using an iPhone, then the guests will be able to see themselves being recorded live. And after it does the recording session, they'll be able to see the video playback, and you know, you're off to the next guest. Also, what this QR carousel does, it provides, if you have good internet, let me throw that disclaimer. If you have good internet, it'll provide a QR code where guests are able to download the video from the TV by scanning the QR code. They'll be able to see a little thumbnail of their video, and they just scan the QR code and they'll be able to download it. You do need internet for this, and you do need decent internet. What happens if there's no internet? Then you're going to see a picture of a cloud, and you're not necessarily going to see a QR code pop up. A lot of people like to use the slideshow function, right? And I'm one of them. I like to use the slideshow function because I think it's distracting when people see themselves being recorded, because they're no longer looking at the camera, they're looking at the TV, right? And if I want to take some high quality shots, I want people to concentrate on the camera. That way I can present it to the guest or the client who hired me in high quality format. I like to use slideshow because I don't necessarily point it at my 360 spinner, but I let all the other people in the party look at the TV and see how much fun people are having. And it kind of builds them up if they're shy to come and use the 360. And it'll play all the videos throughout the night that are taking place in a slideshow format. So you can use it either, like I said, option one, people can see themselves being recorded live, or option two, it'll just play randomly the videos that have been captured throughout the night. Does that make
DJ,
sense? Yeah.
DJ, I just have something to update on the slideshow. When you are using the carousel, right now, the latest change and the latest update, it actually shows the QR code. It used the same QR code that you get when you tap in the gallery. Okay, so now the cloud is not appearing. So what people will see on the TV is the actual QR code. Okay, but if the video is not fully loaded into the web gallery, they will receive the message that is not ready yet. Okay, so they have to wait a little bit.
Got it. So yeah, so that might be a new update that just, I don't know if that's going to get fixed, but in the event that the video is not ready yet, what he's saying is they'll see a QR code, the guest tries to scan it. Once they scan it, they'll see a little message saying your video will be ready soon upon upload, something along those lines, just letting you know that it hasn't uploaded yet, right? So just
I have
make
a
sure.
question.
Go ahead.
As it relates to like the slideshow area, does the TV or the Apple need to be connected to Wi-Fi itself?
So the answer to your question is yes and no. I know it's confusing. So if you're using, there's two ways to connect this. You can use Apple TV, right? We recommend an Apple TV because the Apple TV box has its own network, basically. You can connect to the network. Doesn't necessarily need internet connection, but it's a network, like a Wi-Fi network with no internet. So it can communicate that way. Option B that I've used too, and I really like option B, is if you have an iPad sharing station, right? They do sell some iPad HDMI dongles. You can just plug in your HDMI dongle to your iPad straight to your TV without the Apple TV, and it'll work the same way.
Really?
Yeah. So you can
And
get.
can I?
Go ahead.
So I just get a regular sharing station, and then I plug that into the HDMI of the TV.
Exactly.
And then it'll just do that same work.
Same work. You just do the screen mirroring. It'll do the same work with the HDMI cable.
I do the screen mirroring to the iPad.
Correct.
Right. And it has to be on screen mirror for that TV to even work. There's no other way to connect the phone to the TV for that.
Correct. It does need to be on screen mirror. Yes.
Got you. Okay.
All right. So upon this here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit submit, consent, and hit submit. And that's going to give me my QR code, right? And if you guys recall, this event is for slow motion and for pictures. So let's go to the designer because I'm not ready to scan into that yet. And this is our new designer, by the way. The old legacy designer has been closed down because this new one does everything it needs to do, right? So let's start with slow motion templates. A lot of people shoot portrait because they like to capture, it's easier to capture the full body effect, right? So let's go with this 1072 by 1920 single. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to design something. So I'm going to go to manage design, and I'm going to go to the design library. Very easy. I'll pick a theme. Say my theme is, we have Halloween coming up. So let's, it's right around the corner. So let's use a Halloween theme. I'm going to use maybe, let's do a wedding theme. I think those are a little nicer and maybe more people will use those. But let's do a wedding theme. And I'm very much into simple. I like simple. So let's use something very simple. Let's use this design here. I just selected the design. And it's going to load it for me. And I sometimes think that some of these are a little too distracting. There's too many of the leaves. So I'm able to click on the leaf and then I can hit delete. Click on this leaf, hit delete. I'm gonna just delete all the leaves. I just want the frame and I want the text. So I delete all the leaves. And when I get to the text portion, right, I'm able to, let me move this here, sorry. So once I get to the text portion, let me see, let's go here. The wedding of, right? Maybe I'm not interested in that. Let's go back here. If I want to edit the text here, you can hit edit, right? And it says the wedding of, right? And just know that I can make it say whatever I want. I could just say webinar just for now. I just want to give you an idea how it works, webinar. And then I don't have to use this font. I have all of these fonts here to choose from, right? You know, I could use cursive or I could use this here. I could actually make the font size bigger. Say I want it 55 instead of 25. You know, just giving you examples. You can play with the font color. Maybe I want, you know, blue. You know, maybe I want that, right? So you can fully edit this. Say you have a design logo that you want to add as well, right? And the way you do that is you go to manage design. If you have your logo with you, I want to add it as a sticker, right? So it's telling me, okay, where's your sticker located? So if it's on my computer, let's figure out where I have my sticker located, right? So let's go, this is actually the wrong Touchpix file. Let's go in here. So let's just pretend that I'm going to be using a Touchpix logo. It's a if I hover over it, you'll see that it's a PNG file, right? So if I'm using the Touchpix logo, let's just use that. I'm going to hit upload. And then I'm going to have a sticker option of Touchpix. So this could be your business name. It can be anything that you want, really. And under stickers, I'll go here under stickers. And these are all my stickers here. And I'm going to just go ahead and select that sticker. And it pops up in the middle, but you're able to resize it if you want. And you're able to place it in a subtle spot somewhere that's of your liking, right? Maybe I want it there. Or maybe I just, yeah, let's just keep it there. I'll move it to the right here at least. You have those options. And it's Touchpix. And what I want to do for this webinar now, if I'm done, I can keep on adding stickers, make sure that they're PNG, that they're transparent, keep on adding stickers or add whatever it is that you want to add. And once you're done, you can hit add to event, but make sure you're adding it to the right event. If you remember, I called this event webinar 89. So I know it's the right event. I'm going to hit add to event. And for this case, it's asking me, okay, I want to use this overlay on what? And I just want to use it on slow-mo, right? I'm going to hit add to event, and it's adding it to the event as we speak. Trick to this is after you add it to your event, what you can do is if you go to manage presets, you can save the preset. And if I save this preset as webinar, you can call it whatever you want. You can always come back to this and edit instead of having to start all over. So now, for example, what do I mean by that, right? I'm going to delete this whole thing. I'm going to delete everything. Deleting all the text, deleting, you know, I'm basically starting from the beginning, right? So if I wanted to bring back that old event, I can go to manage presets and hit load preset, right? All of my presets that I saved are located in the bottom, right? This is the one that I just finished doing with you guys. You can see it's called webinar. Just double click on it. And all of a sudden it's back there and I can continue to edit and make changes as needed. I recommend that if you're using the designer, always save your presets. That way you don't have to start all over. That way, if the client wants something else or you want to add something, you don't have to start from scratch. So just save it as a preset, right? So that's how you do that. And then I can either go back to Touchpix if I want, right? So I can go return to Touchpix, return to Touchpix. It's already loaded on that event. But wait, I forgot to load a design for my photo. So let's go back into designer, which is the beauty of things, that you can do it all quick back in here. So once you go back in here, now I want to design instead of slow motion, you have to tell Touchpix that you want to do a photo this time, right? And you can get creative now if you want to do maybe, let's say, just to keep it in context, let's just use, I use something a little different. Let's use the square one here, right? Because square, you can still shoot vertically. And once you do square, the photo's going to be there. So you can actually do the same thing, add, go into your design library. And maybe for this one, I'll do something a little different. Maybe I'll do let's do a different theme. Let's go with back to school, right? Everybody's going back to school right now. So let's keep it in context. So that'll be my back to school. If I wanted to add my logo, again, I can go to manage design and add a sticker, but these are my backgrounds. These are my backgrounds. I can use any of the stickers. Say my logo was the Instagram logo. So I'm going to go ahead and place an Instagram logo right somewhere. And maybe I'll just put it somewhere subtle. I just keep it there, right? Just for purposes. So this will be my logo for the picture. So now I can hit add to event, still the same event under photo. So in this case, what I would do now is I'm ready to scan the QR code, right? What I'm gonna do is after I do this is I'm gonna log out, because you guys won't be able to see this because I am sharing a screen. So from one of my iPhones, I'm gonna go, you can do it this way. Oh yeah, I'm gonna show off this feature. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to events, and I'm gonna actually go to the QR code for this event from an iPhone that I'm gonna be sharing the screen from right now. I'm gonna take the picture of this QR code, right? Just took a picture of it. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and jump in here. I'm gonna jump in, let's see. I see a hand up. Alex, I hope I didn't skip you, but.
Yeah, my question was, I thought you was doing an event for a 360. I see you do something with photo.
Yeah,
kind of lost me there.
I'm doing both. So I'm pretending I'm my 360 event. I'm gonna take a picture on that I'm also gonna be taking pictures.
Oh, okay. You're doing.
Yeah,
all
so
right,
I'm gonna
so
do
you're doing,
both experiences.
Okay. That's what's going on.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. Sorry if I lost you there. Let me see.
I like that idea. I never thought of that because it's so funny how you have like a 360 by a nice backdrop, and people will also want to take a picture too. And so I
Oh,
could also capitalize on getting that content as well.
for sure.
Good
I
idea.
agree as well. I agree.
For sure. So let's see if I can. I'm trying to make myself a co-host. Julian, are you able to make my phone a co-host on the DJ1 Duke phone that you see in the participants?
Hold on, let me look for it.
I'm so sorry. I had a big glitch in my phone and I wasn't able to hear the last part. Can you repeat that, please?
What last part? As far as
All I heard was a couple of people say that was a great idea. I might capitalize on that.
okay.
I'm sorry.
No worries. So they were just commenting that I created an event that I'm going to be able to showcase the photo booth side and the 360 side, right? So you're basically providing two different experiences. I wouldn't offer this at the same price. I would offer for more money, whatever you feel comfortable charging for this, but definitely it's like an add-on, right? So why not offer experiences to two different events? And I'm going to show you something that you guys will like. So, I think this is going to really open your eyes on what you're able to do. So that's basically what was shared. So people like that comment. Were you able to make me a co-host, Julian?
And as you
Yeah,
pull that
the
up, just to
QR
say,
code
like, if
right now.
someone doesn't want to add that as an additional feature, even for you as a business owner, you can capitalize on getting that own content yourself. So when you see that there's a great moment to capture that, you can get it for your own website, not necessarily to share. So it's always good to set those settings up. That's a great idea.
for sure. Let me see. So
Thank
now
you, guys.
I'm sharing my phone. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to look for the Touchpix app. I just downloaded the latest version, so I'm going to go ahead and hit OK, right? So here, I'm in the activate event portion, right? And you guys didn't see this part, but with this same exact phone, I took a picture of the QR code, right? So I'm going to show you guys this nice feature that probably a lot of people didn't know you can do. So you can hit activate event. And I want to activate this event, not as a sharing station, but as a normal event. So I'm going to click activate event. It's asking me for permissions for my camera, right? Obviously, I'm sharing the screen, so I don't have a QR code there. But what I did, if I hit this button here that says load from gallery, it's going to go to my pictures. Since I just took a picture of that, this is the QR code. It's this very first picture here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that. And it says recognized event. So you can actually load your QR code from a picture you took, right? Instead of having to scan it with your camera, it'll just load it right up from the picture. I'm gonna hit OK for the TV AirPlay. Hit OK. Allow access to all photos. Hit OK. And hopefully it loads up the this portion fairly quick before I go into the settings. And I probably should have turned this off because I don't think I'm in a best area for internet. This is the once you reload the app, it wants the resources for the screen mirroring part. So it's going fairly quick, but I'm going to go ahead and show you my optimal settings if you're using an iPhone. And if you're sticking with an iPhone, I think you know, depending on if you have great internet, this is probably a way that you may want to explore. So I'm going to wait for this to load. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. It looks like it's just finishing and it's done. Well, at least it stopped. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the settings. I like to call this the hamburger button, the 3 lines. I'm going to go into the settings and I'm going to explain what this is. The background live view is, I recommend people use this if you're trying to position, your guests. If you have this on your 360 and you enable live view background, you're going to see this, right? You're going to see the live view. This is my template and you're able to position this accordingly, right? Make sure their height is coming out on the template beautifully, right? If you want to disable the live view, you can also do that, and this is what you'll see. But I like this, enable live view. You're able to do that, right? So you have some options. The other thing that I really like about this feature is, it looks like it's catching up. The other thing is, if you guys can see this plus or minus sign here, this is for your exposure. If you're in a element where your lighting is a little dim, by moving the slider to the right, it brightens things up a little bit, right? It compensates. If I move it to the left, it darkens the picture. So this is great for photo boothing, but it's also great for, you know, just to add a little touch to the exposure. So that's what that is. I'm going to go ahead and disable live view for now because I want to show you the other settings. The other settings here will be, if you look over here, stabilization leaves this off. This is meant for people that don't have iPhone 11, 12, 13, or 14, for something that doesn't have a great stabilizer. If you put these on, you're going to find that the processing time is going to take forever. Please leave this off for now and just ignore it if you have an iPhone 11, 12, 13, and 14. The other thing that I like to use is compression. My photo booths, I like to take this off, but before I take it off, this bottom part goes up to ultra high quality. I set it to ultra high quality and I take compression off. I want my files to be the highest possible quality that my iPhone can record. Mind you, If you're in a place that doesn't have great internet, I would not use this. I would either use high quality or ultra high quality with the compression on, right? Because these files are big, so it's going to take a little while for you to share if you don't have great internet. What do I mean by great internet? I'm glad you guys asked, because right down here, there's a network speed test. So right now, I'm actually in the little man cave where I'm located right now. And I know my internet not the best because it's kind of far from the home office that I have, but it's doing a network test and it's telling me, it's going to tell me how fast my internet is at this specific location. Mind you that every venue or every party that you do, you're going to have different speeds depending on your signal or the Wi-Fi that you're using, right? In this case, my download speed is 37. My upload speed is very slow. For 360, I would not use compression off for this because my upload speed is 10. I would need at least a bare minimum 15 or above. But since I'm doing this tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and just show you an example anyways with it off. But this is just tools for you guys to know when you get to an event, there's no reason why you shouldn't be running the speed test to know exactly your capabilities. We get a lot of support chats saying, hey, my stuff's not sharing. And go and behold, their internet connection is worse than mine. So just be mindful of that when you're doing an event at different venues, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and turn the network speed off. These other settings, I can go through them really quick. Beep sounds, it just transferred everything over. Audio and device, we'll cover that. QR security, leave that off. You don't need that. If you accidentally leave QR security on, you'll notice that every time you try to go into your settings, it's going to ask you for a QR code. It's basically when you're doing events or maybe drop-offs, maybe you'll be doing drop-off photo booths, you activate this so that the guest can access the back end of your settings. They'll need a QR code for them to do that. So in this case, let's not worry about that, right? You have a lot of disclaimers for text messages. The analytics is all here, but we're not going to focus on that because today's webinar is just focusing on high quality shots and multi-level experiences. You can actually print with Touchpix. This is definitely an option. But right now, let's focus on digital. We have printing webinars that we've uploaded, and we would encourage you guys to visit those webinars. We have different methods of printing via either the free Touchpix web server, which you need a laptop, or Touchpix uses a PrintPix box that's plug and play, and it works really, really good with Touchpix. There's other webinars that I have that you guys can see those options, but you can print, right? The sharing box, we're not going to focus on that right now. It's something that we just haven't done any tutorials on that. Something to come. Maybe we can share that, during the expo time. That way it could explain exactly what that does. It's a piece of hardware. We're into camera settings. The camera settings, as you can see up here, we're going to be in the back. We're using the back camera. You're able to use a front camera, but the front camera isn't that glamorous. It doesn't have that high resolution that the back camera has, and if you want to switch over to a GoPro or DSLR, you can. So we're compatible with lots of different cameras. But for this purpose, we're just focused on the iPhone. Back camera on the iPhone is the best camera, high resolution. You can leave it at continuous autofocus. Slow-mo speed, it needs to be on these settings. Slow-mo speed, if you don't have them on these settings, they need to be set at 1920 but 1080, 120 frames per second. Now we can do 240, but I wouldn't recommend it because a lot of people, to do 240, the file size is a little bit bigger, and you're going to have great lighting. If you have cheap LED lighting, you're going to see a lot of what's called the light stutter or light flickering. Right, some of the cheap LED lighting, when you're recording at 240, you're going to get flickering of the lights. It doesn't look good. So we tell everybody use 120, everything will look pretty decent, high quality, and it's what most of the industry uses. So definitely use 120. Okay.
DJ,
Go ahead.
I would also like to add that the slow-mo speed that you set here it's gonna affect the final time in your video. So for instance, if you enable the slow-mo boomerang in the settings, if you use the 120 frames per second, you will have like 4 times the recording time. Let's say that your recording time was 5 times 4, it will be 20 seconds, the final video. So you can take this as a, rule of thumb in order to have like an estimated time for your final video.
I have a question really quick. So
Sure.
there's times where I usually do like 7-second videos, and I noticed that it'll be like the ending of the video never plays. Like the last thing that I seen the phone capture of them doing, that part never plays because of the boomerang component. So I'm always like, I mean, they come out good, but I'm wondering about that boomerang component and like what replays and how much effect that has on the actual timing of the video.
Yeah, I agree. I think you definitely hit onto something, but there's more advanced settings where you can play with that, where you can actually play with the timing, and that's really going to be, it's more of a preference. So if you go into our advanced settings, which I will cover pieces of it, you can actually
Okay.
play with segments on how to speed it up and how to slow it down at different segments. It doesn't have to be where it's set at default. The default settings work fine for the majority of people, but there's some people that like a little bit more of a custom look. So this is where you have access to telling the software you want slow motion at the beginning, you want to speed it up, and you want slow motion again at the end. So you're able to do that. So there's different settings that you can use where, I'm sure you can tweak it to where you do get that final recording piece inside your video. So, okay, let's go there. I was in stabilization. Stabilization, like I said, leave that off for now. If you have an iPhone 11, 12, 13, or 14, anything before that, maybe consider it, but it's gonna add processing time. What's important with these iPhones from 11 and up is that if you go to lens type, you're gonna want to select the wide. This is why the iPhone 10 is not recommended, because it doesn't have this ultra wide lens. So you want the ultra wide lens because it records, it records high quality, slow motion speed, and you don't have to really angle your arm where it's subject. It'll capture everything. Exposure, you can always play with the exposure, right? You can add exposure. It just adds a little bit more brightness, or the boomerang, and play with that. These are the optimal settings that I would recommend, especially if you reinstall them, reinstall the app, make sure that you have these settings when you do that, right? So I'm going to go to, this is a section that I wanted to cover really quick, because I think doing dual experience photo booths like video and photos can benefit from. So I'm going to wait for my lens to jump over, because I think I still see some things. Let me see what's going on here. On your screen, you guys still see the camera settings, right?
Yes.
Or do you guys see the photo effects, sec 5?
Yes.
Yes.
See section 5 or 4?
4.
Okay, give me 1 sec. I don't know what's going on here.
4.
Yeah, give me 1 sec. I'm gonna try to jump back in here again. Because I need you guys to see 5.
DJ, I see somebody raise a hand. It's Alex Soler.
Yeah, Alex.
Alex, if you have any questions, you can go now.
All right, well, if he is back, he can ask. So this is photo booth effects section 5. So what is super cool about this is a couple of things. So we have what's called the background gallery now, right? Or the background gallery is awesome. So what I can do with the background gallery is if I hit background gallery, I can actually add my own background if I want. I'm gonna hit yes. I want to add my own background. I have a picture of Chicago right here. Right. Hit open. I have a picture of Chicago, and it's actually going to download some other backgrounds because it's also going to give me an option to have the user pick backgrounds. This only happens, the downloading portion, like it's doing now, it happens one time, typically when you reinstall the app, which is why it's doing it now. So I'm just going to wait on it real quick. So this is what makes it super cool, because even though their subjects are on your 360 platform, you don't necessarily need a background for this. You can actually put a digital high quality background, or you can pick from the Touchpix options. So what this does is, oh, let me cancel. So I'm going to go here. I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick photo, right? You do need internet for this, but as you can see, it replaced the background to the Chicago background, and it'll do a perfect cutout of any person, right? So it's like a remove the background, it'll do a perfect cutout of any subject, and it'll replace it. But maybe I don't want the Chicago background. Maybe I want to load other backgrounds, such as this Halloween one. So you have so many different options now with Touchpix. They're giving you free backgrounds to use. You can download high quality backgrounds from the internet. You know, it's now, if you're offering pictures in 360, these will come out so professional looking if you have great lighting already on top of that, which normally people do because they like the 360 platform. It's like a win-win. This is definitely a huge upcharge that I would recommend people to consider. There's just so many different options that you can choose, right? Like in my case, I do have, like, you know, we did a show in Chicago years back, so I took the Chicago skyline. But this is a great way for you to do not only pictures. I'm going to hit next. That's the way it'll come out, and just picture somebody there taking a picture, and it'll cut it out perfectly with the Chicago skyline in the back, right? And now if I want to do a normal 360, right? I'll do a normal 360. I'm just recording something real quick, and let's see here. So it's doing the 360, it's adding all the effects, and it's going to apply the overlay. And there's a 360 video. I'm kind of in a dark room, but before I move on to this, I want to show you the other effects it does. So that's the background effects. Our new release is the AI effects, right? The AI effects are super awesome. So artificial intelligence, you can pick any of these themes here, right? And you know, you can do there's just so many you can do, especially now with like the whole Barbie craze. You can do some of those parties, anime, disco, and it'll definitely you'll take a picture and it'll animate it with the artificial intelligence. All of that's free with your Touchpix subscriptions. There is no reason why you shouldn't be booking these events right now at that extra cost, because we're providing you with so many different tools and alternatives that you can use. Aside from that, these are your video effects. Like I was explaining earlier to that gentleman, I see a hand raised, and I'll take some time right now to raise the hand while I sip some water. Go ahead.
I just was wondering, so are you saying that because all I have is the 360 photo booth, I can actually do just the still images as well?
Exactly. You could do them both
You
in.
know, I mean, like, so would I be able to, I can do them like together, 360 and still?
Yeah, so you can do, well, you can, the way this is my workflow, because I've done them before. My
Mhm.
workflow is, typically people are so happy to get on your 360. I say, everybody, before we do a session, get ready. I'm going to take a photo. I snap a photo. That process is really, really quick. Once it processes quick, then I say, okay, we're going to do a 360 session. Then you run your 360 session. By the end of your session, you have two files that you can share with them now. You have your still photo and you have your
Uh-huh.
360 video photo. So you're
Oh,
getting the bang for your buck there. right?
Okay.
So
And I'm,
that's,
and I'm,
go ahead.
and I'm sorry, I just wanted to piggyback on her. I know I asked a question before, but when are you at all able, when you're finished, I can stay on if you have time to go back to see where you would hook up for both options. I see you had the 360 photo booth and the camera at the bottom. Tell me, how would you toggle back and forth between the two, and how did you initially set it up at the beginning to act?
No, so at the beginning, you see those two options, right?
Right, yeah, that's what I see. You
So,
have two at the
so at the
bottom.
beginning
I
of this,
didn't know how to-
yeah, so at the beginning, when I created my event, all I did different was activate my photo option alongside my slow-mo option. That's it. It's really one click of a button. So
Thank you.
you just have to activate the photo section. And just remember that when you're creating your design on your designer, you load a template for both the slow motion, but you also have to load a template on the photo side to tell the software, once I hit photo, it's going to give me a photo template. And they could be different from one another. It doesn't have to be the same template, but it could be the same template if you're using the same file size.
So
Does
do
it-
you take the photo? I'm sorry. I just wanted to know, do you snap the photo before you actually start the 360?
Yeah, so this is my flow, right? I'm going to do enable live view, just so you guys can see kind of my flow. I'm going to explain it. Pretending my computer is my 360 or whatnot, I tell people, okay, come on to the 360, right? I'm going to take a quick photo. So everybody face the camera and everybody poses, right? And you're able to, with live view, you're able to make sure everybody's in frame, right? And once everybody's in frame, I say 3, 2, 1, and I hit the hit the photo button, and I'll take the photo, make sure everybody's in frame. It took the photo already. It's applying, I think I loaded a artificial intelligence effect, sorry.
So the photo part you get in the beginning part when
Yeah,
you're
you do that, and you see how fast that process is to begin with. I just hit next, and now I say, okay, everybody get ready for, we're doing a 360 session, and I hit 360, right? So it's 2, 1, and this is a completely different template, completely different experience. I turn on my 360, you're moving around, and now it's processing. Everybody's getting off, super excited, super happy about, them getting a 360 file. And once it's done adding all of these effects, which essentially it'll take about maybe 6 more seconds, there it is. Now you can hit next, right? Whether you have a sharing station or not, if you go over to your gallery, you see how you have two different files. The square one is my picture, right? And then the other file is my video. So you can share them both.
Oh.
Just want to say that this may not work if you use the motion trigger for the photo.
Exactly. Yeah, this is why it's a good time to ask those questions. Because if you're using a motion trigger, yeah, I wouldn't use it if you're using it with this type of workflow. But this is a great way to be able to enhance the event and ask for more money. Because if they're
DJ1.
for a 360, you can say, well, these are my 360 rates. But if, yeah.
I got a little lost
it?
at just at the beginning. I guess for where the photo would be at.
I was getting ready to ask the same
Yeah,
thing.
so
I'm fine with doing the 360 part. So the photo part, that I guess that's my thing. And then when you're clicking like slow-mo, boomerang, GIF, that's where I think I get a little twisted at.
Okay, so let's do this. Give me 1 second here. So let's real quick. So the only difference that I did in showing you this is when I created my event, right? I'm going to go into my event. I'm going to go into edit. And that's going to allow me to go to the very beginning. The only difference from doing a 360 is 2 steps would be in this section here. Typically, you just do slow motion. Everybody who does a 360 typically only checks out slow motion. If you're going to add photos, you have to check photos as well. That'll give you the other button, right? That's the only difference, right? The second part to that is when you come to the very bottom and you hit submit because all your settings are done correctly. The second part to that is
Question to that. Stop.
sure.
I normally do the slide screen. Would I still be able to do the slide screen?
Yeah, everything will work
Okay.
exactly the same.
And then I also noticed your sharing station. You look like you had some buttons unclicked.
So my sharing station, I explained which buttons I use. You can use whichever
Okay, I
ones you
can use
use.
whichever ones.
Yeah, you
Got
can
it.
use whichever one you use.
Okay.
So the second part for my setup is the most important part is making sure that you're pointing the right template for the right experience.
Right,
So
right.
number one, slow-mo. So I pointed a portrait template for slow-mo right here, right?
Uh-huh.
And then if you're also doing photos, you're gonna have to go back in here and go into the photo category
Got it.
and point,
That's where I lost you.
yeah,
Okay.
and point the right template for that. And I use the square, right?
Got it.
So that's the only difference. Everything else is exactly the same 100%.
Got it.
Anything that you want to add, Julian? I'm sorry.
Yeah, DJ, Keisha is asking something about the QR code that we have to start the photo booth. So maybe we can go into the website so people can, know this process that we offer to.
The QR code on the actual phone, you mean?
Yeah, the one that the people have to scan in order to
Okay.
enter the information and show the QR code to the phone to start the.
Okay, so we're gonna go into settings again, and we were on number 6. But before we get there, because we're almost there, before we get there, just know that video effects and photo effects are completely apart. So the photo effects controls just the photo stuff, right? Everything that I showed you with background gallery will work great. If you want to do the glam filter, the black and white, or the beautifier, which is that Kardashian filter with the skin smoothing, that's what the beautifier is. Okay, you can use it for photos. If you go to number 6, this is where your video, your slow motion effects are. So the gentleman earlier that was talking about sometimes it doesn't, after the boomerang you can't capture the last section of the video. This is where you add these pro level effects. So you can go over to add effect, and if I want my slow motion to start slow, right at the very beginning, I go down here, and I'm almost hesitant in showing this for one reason, because we're about to switch this whole, there's a little teaser that we're going to share in these upcoming weeks. This is kind of why I don't want to show how to do it, but I'll show it briefly, because this whole the way we do effects is going to change. It's going to be a lot easier. It's going to be more visually, it'll have a visual interface where you're able to make those changes, and I think it'll make better sense. So in this case,
while you're doing and looking for the effect, I would like to add something that is very important. When you are adding effects, there is a bar in the top where you can see video, boomerang, animated, and slow-mo. It's very important that you select the type of file that you are adding the effect, because sometimes some customers get confused and they add the effect to the video instead of the slow-mo, so they cannot see the actual effect that they added. Okay, so please be sure that you are, for instance, in this example, you can see that the slow-mo is highlighted, so you easily can realize where the effect will be applied. Okay.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Yeah, make sure that if you're doing slow-mo is highlighted. So in this case, what I'm gonna show is the speed up effect. I'm gonna hit done. You see speed up pop up on the screen. I'm gonna click on the screen, and right now you have two dots, the 0 and the 1. All this means is this is a timeline. The blue line is a timeline. If I want the video to be sped up at the very beginning, I move these two dots. I'm indicating to the software that I want the speed up effect to be applied at the very beginning around this time. If I want a slow-mo effect to be added right after that, I go to add effect and I go all the way down to slow-mo timing, right? And I add a custom slow-mo effect. Same way, speed up, you adjust the dots, and I can still keep on going and add another speed up or add layers to this. That way your output looks a little different than the default. This is more in advanced settings. You don't have to do this, but I just wanted to show the gentleman that had that question earlier about, sometimes his video doesn't come out. It cuts the last clip out. If you play around with these effects, you can actually get creative and make that clip come out in certain segments by you editing your timeline. I don't want to go in too much into this because we're going to switch this around. And this video, I just want to show you how to get it done now, but it's going to change in the upcoming weeks or months. You're going to have a more visual related timeline. The other thing is, if you want to delete any of these effects, just highlight it and hit delete, highlight it and hit delete. A lot of people didn't know, but Touchpix actually gives you free music. If you go over to the music section here, if you go, let's go to music and hit done. And I'm going to click on the music tab in the middle. Touchpix will give you 13 tracks, right, that you can listen to and figure out if that's what you want to use. They're just instrumental tracks, and there they are down here. So you don't have to struggle with downloading music off the internet. These are all copyright free, so you're able to use them within the app. And just because I did have a question and I do want to touch on it, there was a question where if you wanted to load more than one song, the answer is yes, you can actually do that as well. If you go to add effect and go to what's called the jukebox effect, right? Let's go over to, did I just pass it? There it is, jukebox.
And DJ, this is also going to change with the new
Yeah, this will change definitely. So, but it'll change in the way that you set things up, but it'll still be possible with the software. The jukebox, I'm going to tap on jukebox, and it's going to tell me to add audio file. The thing is that this audio files have to be saved on your phone already as an MP3 file. So if I click add audio, it's going to look in my phone. I could see I already have one track in there. Okay, there's two tracks. So I'm going to hit one track, right? And I'm going to hit another, I'm going to hit add audio again. And just pick a different track. I guess the only two I have, so I'll use that anime track. And you can pick a third one, but you can hit, if you select this randomize, you can actually let the software choose on its own. Or if you don't select randomize, what you can do is if you go back, right? And now if I hit slow-mo, right? If I hit slow-mo right now, the jukebox comes in and it tells me which track do I want to choose for that specific spin. So you have the ability to pick up to 3 songs before you start your session. Say I want that anime track, I'll hit track 2 and then start, right? So this is how you can load multiple different songs and have pick, out of the 2 or 3 songs that you load, which one they want on their specific have Touchpix pick it automatically. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Let's go over.
We have some raised hands, DJ. So I don't know.
So that's the video effects part. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if Marcel.
Sorry, I actually forgot. I got off into listening to him again. It'll come back to me.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
sorry about it.
Okay.
MC
Sounds
Key.
good. Sounds good.
So,
Let's
so,
use
so
and
I do have a question.
Uh-huh.
So when you're doing a session and the video is done and it's applying the overlay, it's applying the music, are you able to start another session prior to it being complete and getting the thank you screen?
no, unfortunately, no, because it's the software is processing the file that it needs to process, so you'd have to wait until it's done before you start a different session.
Okay.
And then there's a question from an iPad.
I don't know if you called Key, but I did have a question concerning.
Okay. Key, I'm sorry.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi.
I had a question concerning the jukebox. Does that apply to the 360, or just the iPad booth?
No, it applies to the 360. Yeah, you can
Oh,
just
really?
you can just hit the on video effects section like I showed you here. Let's go back in there. You're just gonna go to add effect, and once you added the effect, you're gonna look for the jukebox effect. Once you have the jukebox effect, this middle gray box here, you're gonna click on this jukebox pill looking icon, and this is where you actually can add your songs. The caveat here is that you have to have your MP3s already saved onto that specific device, because it's going to pull them from your phone. As long as they're MP3s, you'll be good. All right. So now let's go over to the TV session. I don't know if people use their TVs with the Apple TV. It has functions where you can actually, if you can actually mount your TV in a vertical position if you're shooting vertically. This looks really good. But if you're shooting with the landscape, then you want to keep your TV like normal orientation like you would if you're watching TV from your home. These other functions are, if you have slideshow function, you can actually do a short replay or skip a replay. You can customize a couple things here or turn them on and off so you can get a better experience. This all relates to when you're hooking up to your Apple TV via Apple TV or through the HDMI cable. Any questions there?
Yeah, DJ. The question
Sure.
I asked you about the slideshow always.
Okay. Yeah, so the slideshow I always use that because that just means that it's going to generate slideshow throughout the duration of your event at night. While it has an active connection, you're always going to have a slideshow displaying on your TV.
Okay, that's where I'm kind of confused, right? Because when I have my TV in the vertical position, and I don't know whether it's when I'm recording or not, it stops the slideshow. And then when it start back recording, it start the slideshow again. Is it a way where it's constantly on the slideshow?
Yeah, so I think your situation, the error may be happening when on the web browser, you may have it on external session, because if you're saying it records and it interrupts your slideshow, that sounds like you have it on external session and not on slideshow mode.
Okay. Okay, good enough.
Okay.
A
Any other
question.
questions? Sure.
Yeah, my question that I forgot earlier was the animated part. You brought up a thing and it showed all these different like still photos, but it had some of them I think had animated. Where do I hit that at if I wanted to do that?
Oh, for like the animated GIFs, you mean?
Yeah, and when I and another thing, when I'm is that just for like that's just for the photo session, correct?
Correct. So animated GIFs works like this. The way animated GIFs, you're gonna
Remember
have to.
you had it was pictures of people. It was pictures
Okay.
of a man and a lady.
Oh, the animated. Yeah. So
And
this is right here where you go over to photo effects. This bottom part, this is brand new. We released this maybe a couple weeks ago.
where
And
can
you click if you don't have it, you might not be on the latest version of the app. So make sure you're always updating your app to the latest version.
okay,
Okay.
okay. Where
So
I'm looking at your screen and I'm trying to see. Oh, it's the AI effect.
it's the AI effect, correct?
Okay, I'll know.
If you click on that, it'll give you options and try it for yourself. You're gonna get some awesome looking
Okay,
content on that.
okay, got it on the photo effects. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So I see an iPad with the question, the hand up. I don't know if you're able to unmute yourself or you. Okay. I don't see you being able to unmute yourself. Okay. So then let's move on. Let's go over to number 8. I'm not going to go into number 8. This has to do with motion trigger and using a Bluetooth clicker to turn it off and on, right? Trigger the recording. You're able to do that, but not a lot of people have those options. So I'm not going to go with that. I think what I wanted to go with, Julian, I think you were mentioning the QR to start, correct?
Yeah, that's the one that Keisha asked to dig into.
Yeah, so if you check on the eye, it just tells you that if this box is checked, you can use a QR code to initiate a share session. Event attendees can visit the website later, or they can visit they're going to get an email or a phone number, and it'll generate a QR code. So once it's scanned, the session will automatically they're automatically going to start. So what happens with this is you initiate this. And see if I can information correct, Julian. I haven't used this in a while. Let me see.
Yeah, in this case, you need to go to the website
Yeah.
and get the QR code for the guest, because they will have to scan the QR code in order to access to the web form where they have to put their info.
Got it.
So they will get the QR code to show to the phone.
Oh,
and
got it.
this will trigger the session.
It's coming back to me now. Yeah, so there is a web link to this where you're gonna have the ability, or the guest is gonna have the ability to input their contact information, right? They're gonna have, like, say it's Mary Jane, and they're gonna put either their phone number or they're gonna put their phone number, or they're gonna put their email address. Once you submit that form, it's just a form. It's gonna give you an individualized QR code that you're gonna snap a picture of, right? And once this is enabled, you go onto the platform and you hit slow-mo. It's gonna ask you to show the camera that QR code. That QR code identifies it as you, right? Once you show that QR code to the camera, the session will start. Once the session ends, you don't have to do anything else. Based on the fact that you inputted that information onto the computer on the web browser, it means that it's going to automatically send to you, to whatever phone number you inputted, whatever email you've inputted, it's going to share it directly.
Question.
Yeah.
Do you have to have a trigger box with this in order for that to work, or are there certain platforms that you have to share?
No, this is just a way. No, this is just a different sharing way. It has nothing to do with like a trigger box. The trigger box that you may be confused, is something completely different. The trigger box that we used to sell, some platforms now built it into their system, like OrcaView. I think there's one called Acatech. The other one is, I believe Selfie Box 96 had one. I forget what other brand. I think there might have been one other brand. So what that trigger box does, it allows you to it controls the arm. When you hit record on your phone, it actually controls the arm to start moving. It'll record for the duration of the video, and then the arm will automatically stop once it's done recording. Essentially, synchronizing your recording, making it seem like the start time and the end time is going to be in the exact position every single session, as long as you start your arm in the same position.
I guess I'm just trying to understand how the 360 would start, because I have to, use a remote to get it to start. So if I'm trying to get them to use the QR code to start the video, what am I missing? I feel like
Yeah,
there's
so the QR code is a way of sharing. It's not necessarily a way to start the video. It's just a way of sharing, but it's almost like you're telling the software that, based on the information that you've already provided, by you scanning that QR code, it's gonna be sent to you automatically upon concluding your recording. You don't have to go to a sharing station. You don't have to go anywhere else. You can just walk away, and the software will detect that that's your QR code. It's going to send to you via email or text. So essentially, it's a way of sharing. If you want to start the recording process, there's the only thing that I would recommend, if you have an automatic spinner, is maybe utilizing the motion trigger, right? Because when you hit when you hit the on button on your remote with an automatic trigger, right? Your 360 arm will start spinning. The motion trigger is basically, that's how it's designed. Once the phone detects that it's in movement, the recording starts. So you don't have to tap it twice, unless that's what you want. Yeah.
I think that was the disconnect. So I saw this at an event, and I guess they must have the automatic, because once we scan the our QR code with the device, it automatically started. So that was the disconnect. So thank you.
Got it. Okay. And let me see, where are we here? We were on motion, I think. We were on
I just put
triggers.
in the chat, I put the address, so you can download the file if you need it.
Okay, let me see. Yes, this is the QR trigger auto share. So let's go in there just to look at it, right? Because I think that's an important piece. Let's go in there just to bring clarity. So let's go into the auto share. So this is the address that you will need if you're using the auto share option. This is the file that you will need. So you can go to the, let me see. Oh, this is basically how to customize it if you want to personalize it, right? So let me see how. Oh, okay. So you just linked the video. Okay. So essentially, this will show exactly how it works. In this case, he's using an iPad. He doesn't need like a computer. You customize a specific QR code. The user will come over, and let's speed it up a little here. So you're going to scan this QR code here, and it's going to allow you to open up a form, right? This is typically done when there's a line, right? And you're going to input your email address, your text message, whatever it is that you want, how you want it shared.
I'm only seeing the designer. I'm not seeing
Oh,
you.
okay. I'm sorry.
doing
I'm
anything.
sorry. I thought I was sharing the right screen. Thank you for that. Okay, let's go here. So this is a quick little video. Let's go. Let me back up a little bit. You scan the QR code from any phone. It's going to give you a form that you fill out, right? You're going to put your email address or your phone number if that's what you want to use. And in this case, I think he's going to input he may input a phone number. Once he inputs a phone number, it's going to generate a QR code, right? That QR code upon generating, that's your personalized QR code. Nobody else will have access to your picture but you. So once you generate that QR code, all you do now is go over to your platform, right? And
this code can be used
right,
multiple
it says
times for the.
scan. So your
Can you hear me?
yeah, so you, yeah, we can hear you. So he
Yeah,
scanned it
sorry,
real
sorry. My connection is not so good right now. But
and then he hit
what I was
start
telling
with
is that this is a code that the guest can use for the rest of the event. Okay, so they can create it once and they can use it multiple times.
Now, how would I get
it.
this?
Just kind of beats having a sharing station. Go ahead.
How would I get this so I could use this as at an event? How would I get the picture of the QR code? Not the phone, but the one that they scan.
Isn't the website that I just put here in the shop? I'm gonna post it again, so you can access to it and you will have the files
Okay.
that you need to download. Please save it so
It's
you
right
can.
here. It's actually this one right here, Julian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm giving a screenshot
So
it right now.
So Julian, where it gives you instructions, you want the actual web page where you're able to generate the code, which I've linked you to that link. Okay, let me go back in and just kind of finish it off, and I'll finish off with some questions after I'm done with the menus. We're very close to finishing, and I do want to give you guys some time for questions, because definitely appreciate you guys taking the time to learn more about our app and some of the features. So we were on subsection 9 here, where we're sharing, editing. Again, if you have these set to 0, which I typically do, I only have sharing there. You can just ignore that. Bluetooth, this is what I touched on, the different brands that carry our automatic box to start the 360, which is Desintech, OrcaView, Acatech. There's another generic brand, but these are the ones that we provide support to. Scanpix, I'm not going to go into Scanpix. There's a completely different webinar. Scanpix, once you're very comfortable with Touchpix, right, and you feel like you have it down, I would almost recommend everybody to look at the Scanpix webinar, because it's going to change the way you share. Touchpix is sometimes it's very dependent on the internet, because people want the content right away, right? Scanpix allows you to share without the use of any internet. It allows you to share via Wi-Fi direct. And I think for people that do events that are out in the boondocks that have low coverage or weak Wi-Fi, you guys will definitely want to see Scanpix webinar, because it'll give you the tools. Again, it's free on it. It'll give you the tools on how to be able to share and deliver your content 100% of the matter if there's no reception, no matter if there's no Wi-Fi at that venue. Let me see, and then we're going to go over to subsection 12. Subsection 12 is just backing up your content, to Google Drive or Dropbox. If you have a Google Drive account that's free, back it up, right? Because you're not only going to get the template version, you're going to get the original content that you can use for promotion. I'm going to show you something in a little bit, but I just want to go ahead and, I think that was the last one. What I want to show you is, a lot of people don't know, but typically if you want to get access to your files, right, what you can do is go into your files folder from your iPhone. Let me see here. If you go over to your files folder and you go into your iPhone folder, you're going to see a folder called Touchpix. If you go into the Touchpix folder, you're going to notice that Touchpix saves what's called your non-rendered files, which means it's your files with your, it's the file with the template. But if you also want the file without the template, you're going to go into what's called the original file. And you're going to be able to see the original content, or let's go into, yeah, you're going to go into originals and you'll be able to see like the original picture without the template. And this is a good thing for you guys to know because, you know, throughout booking events, you guys might want to get the original footage so you guys can build on marketing, build up promotional videos, and you're going to get, you know, the original content without overlays. But make sure you pull this off your phone. And the way to pull it off your phone is how I just explained. You can either do it with a USB cable to your computer, but the easiest way is just doing it through Google Drive by enabling Google Drive. And if you see, it gives you two options right here. You can upload rendered files, which means with the template, and you can upload to your Google Drive original files without the template for every single event before you close it. Before you close it is the key phrase, because if you close it, these will no longer be available. You'll only have access to rendered files if everything uploaded. Okay. You guys have any questions on that? All right. I don't know if you guys have any other questions in general that you guys would want an explanation on.
Hi, yeah, I do. Are you able to touch on the 360 using the like the GIFs on the 360 or the automated animated images? Are you able to touch on that?
Okay, so as far as GIFs, if you can give me a little bit more of insight, because the GIFs are done only for photos, right? You can only use GIFs on photo related content, but if you're talking about animated overlays, right? Animated overlays are basically an overlay that has movement to it. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, yes.
So these are special, these are special designs, right? So I would recommend that you visit a webpage. I don't know if Julian, if you can put the webpage, it's called boothmotion.com. It's something that we recommend because they make it really easy for you to do as far as adding animated overlays. But we also have a complete different webinar on animated overlays and how to load them. I'll just give you an example real quick on how to load an animated overlay. So what I would do here in this specific case, let me do this here. Right, I'm gonna go back into Touchpix. And I'm gonna go over to slow-mo. And I'm gonna switch my overlay from portrait over to just landscape, which is with the phone in non-vertical, right? So after I do that, if you notice, I just loaded a blank template, right? So now what I want to do is I'm going to go over to screen mirror again, see if I can share this. Okay, now that I've shared it, I want to make sure I open up Touchpix, but before I do that, since I just changed my template, I'm just going to refresh event. anytime you make a change, refresh your event. That way it translates over. So now my template's gone. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna load an animated overlay. I'm gonna go to settings. I'm gonna go to video effects. I'm gonna delete jukebox, but I'm gonna add an effect called overlay alpha, right? These are specifically made. There's really no easy way to make them. It's either you are pretty good with software to design them, like Adobe After Effects or Animate, or you're probably gonna have to go through a designer. And I'm not a designer myself, so I always have somebody make mine, and that's the website that I use, Booth Motion. So I go to Overlay Alpha. I pick Overlay Alpha. It's telling me where do I have that file located. I'm gonna go to Choose File, and I believe I have it on my phone, but let me make sure. I'm actually trying to point it to the right. So let's see if it's this one here. Not too sure if it's this one, but let's try it. This is kind of an old design that I've used. So in this case, my phone would need to be in the horizontal position. And I'm going to do a quick recording, right? I still have that QR thing enabled. See, it's always good to turn off certain settings. Let me go ahead and turn off that QR trigger, I think. Here we go. I'm waiting for there's a little bit of a lag, so I'm waiting for this to start. So now I'm going to do a quick recording. Oh, there's a big lag. So it's processing file, it's adding boomerang, blending video. This is what an animated overlay is. It's basically an overlay with some movement, but there's no, you see how I have a cartoon character of the bride and groom? I had this made through a specific not a web designer, a graphic designer. And he specifically made this for a wedding that I did. But I wish there was an easy way of explaining on how to make it. The best option I can advise for this is go to that website that Julian posted on the chat called boothmotion.com. He does have some pre-made templates that you can purchase from him that you can even try it out before you purchase, customize it, and load it on your phone. Check out our animated overlay webinar because it goes into detail step by step if you're going to be using that website. I'm just letting you know that Touchpix does offer ways where you can animate your overlays. It's a powerful software, but there's added steps on how to achieve that look. And for that specific request, you are going to require going through a graphic designer unless you yourself know how to animate it yourself. It's not an easy process. The gentleman who owns that company, that website, he made it real easy where you can use one of his pre-made templates and add your custom text. And it's basically like a 5 or 6 click process. You'll be able to achieve the same thing. I wish I can get into detail with how to do it. I'm not a graphic designer and I go through that gentleman myself. So that's how I use animated overlays.
I do have a follow-up question. I know when you said that under the number 5 for the background gallery, you gave us an example of the Chicago skyline. Are we able to use that? Is that just only for photo, or can we do it for 360 as well?
Well, you can use it for photo. For 360, there is a function where you can remove the background, but your lighting needs to be very, very good. If you don't have good lighting, and I actually wouldn't recommend it because typically when we do 360 events, there's a lot of people behind us. There's people walking around. I would suggest using the feature if you're using some type of enclosure where you're not going to have traffic or people's faces coming in and out, because it's not going to look pretty unless you have somewhat of a clean wall where the lighting is really good. So to answer your question, it's recommended for photo because it does a clean cutout. For video, it's just not there at the moment, unless you have like a plain green wall or a white wall where there's not going to be people walking around in the background or shadows that are
And
going
tell me,
to limit the software.
okay, now I do have an enclosure. I just wanted to try it out. Tell me, how would I add that, or what, is it
Yeah,
still
so
under number 5?
no, you can go to video effects here, and what you're going to do is once you go to video effects, there's one that's called remove BG. So you're going to come all the way down where it says right here. Well, you can do remove BG plus image. I'm sorry, plus video.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, this is what you would do it. And you can try it out again and make sure your lighting is very optimal. You have great lighting. The better your lighting is, the better the results are going to be.
Now I have a question for the background remover as well. Instead of giving them a choice, is this something that we can choose for them?
Yeah, you can only use one image if that's what you want to do.
Okay, so how would I do that under, because I see how easy it is
For
under
the photo,
the update.
for the
Uh-huh.
photos, you can use, do you have two? For the photos, if you're going to do it that way, you can definitely either use background gallery, right? And it says use your own. You can select your own, or you can also do, let me see, it's cancel. You can do this remove background HQ. Remove background HQ will allow you to just use one image. So if the file is either in your files folder or your gallery, you can select it from there.
Okay, thank you.
So you can use remove background MQ or HQ, and it'll just give you that one option for that one picture. I'm sorry, I think I was cutting out, but the remove background MQ or HQ will give you the one option for one picture.
Okay, I got it. Thank you so much.
No problem. Any other questions? Julian, did you want to add anything? I'm sorry. I know I got into my groove there and
No, no problem, DJ. You were so clear with everything, and there's nothing that I need to add.
any other questions? If not, then yeah.
Not a-
Thank you so much. This was
And
very
you know, we're gonna have continued webinars every. Sorry, I think the
DJ,
audio
I had a question on the composed
cutting
video.
out. I'm sorry about that. Go. Okay.
So you say
Go ahead.
click it off when you going, if you don't click it off and you do high resolution, it doesn't do the high resolution.
Well, it'll do a high resolution. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. So resolution, it'll be compressed. If you remove the compression, it's almost like you're taking shots in its raw format. It will not apply any compression. So the difference between a compressed video and a non-compressed video, typically my videos can be compressed with ultra high quality. Technically, they'll be about 25 megabytes, right? If I choose uncompressed, the same video will be about 45 to 50 megabytes, almost double the size.
Double the size, okay.
Yeah.
But the actual quality of the video, would you be able to tell by your eye?
I would. I think a lot of people probably wouldn't, but you know, once you do this enough, you start really. You know, you're your biggest critic. Even you know, being in this industry, you're going to look at what other people are doing, and you're going to have a selective few people that think, oh man, these guys really have really high quality. I think the more intrigued you are and the more critical you are, you're only going to get better because you're willing to push yourself to be able to push high quality content out there. So for me, to answer your question, I can see it. Just social media, they might not be able to see it, but I like to look at it from different angles, and I'm trying to really show you how to get the best out of the Touchpix software. And you at least give it a try and see if you notice a difference in yourself, because ultimately you're the one that's pushing your content, and you need to be happy with whatever it is that you're pushing out there.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, everybody. I definitely want to thank you for being part of this call. We'll be doing webinars every Wednesday. This to the YouTube channel very soon. If you're not part of the YouTube channel, you can go to the official Touchpix. YouTube has some webinars and a lot of instructionals. Go to the DJ1 Duke YouTube channel. I have all the webinars, for different categories, so you can look at them there. There's a lot to learn with Touchpix board, and you actually time to learn it. Your craft is only going to get better. Your output's only going to get better, and that will definitely justify you pricing for these services. And I think at the end of the day, we want you to be successful. We want to be successful with our app. And this is why we provide all the education. Subscription pays for the you receive via chat. It pays for the implementation of the new stuff that we've been releasing consistently. And it also pays for all just to be able to prepare you a lot better. So thank you, everybody. Thanks. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. I'm going to put an email in the chat if you need it. Yeah, thanks, everybody. Just kind of wanted to say thank you for being part of this webinar. We've been doing them every Wednesday, and hopefully we can continue doing them. Feel free to drop Julian and I an email. They're in the chat. This is done for you guys to be able to enhance your skills and make your business successful. Because if you're successful, we know that the Touchpix brand is going to be successful. So this is a reason why we'll back you guys with support. We'll back you guys with any questions you guys have, just to try to make sure that you guys have success in your businesses. So thank you very much. Have a great night. See you guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye, DJ. Bye-bye, everyone.